All right, Greg, so join us. Okay, it's 1 a.m. All right, going to geez. So we're going into March. Is this the month of March Madness, the month of weirdness? We'll see it more engage over time. Yeah. So it's a time traveler from the year 2050. Something a little bit more close to our time. Not that close, but we'll see how that goes. I do feel like the nuclear energy, not that the nuclear threat. I felt some of that there. Not that it's going to happen. The empty vessel NPCs. Yeah, that's been coming through recently. Even some channelers can be an empty vessel too. I'm not going to give an example of that, but I can give an example of the entity that might possess certain channelers. Yeah, that was here physical at one time. I guess I should put that in the title, but I wasn't really thinking about putting that in the title. I'll show that in a second. But yeah, some channelers can be, not to put out examples, like I said, I could. Not one that you would, well, the one I'm talking about is not that well known. And for others out there, you can go by whatever you feel on that one. But the empty, yeah, think about that. Like, so if like an empty vessel or channeling these beings, and all kinds of entities are attaching them. Just, jeez, yeah. And also CERN, the multiverse. I haven't connected to CERN in a while. We'll see what the multiverse has to say. Yeah, CERN isn't exactly the best energy. But we'll just see what it has to say. Let's put that one. But let's see. With the spiritual energy there, with the empty vessel, I think that's like one of the main topics, because it's kind of it's especially when you have a channeler that's surrounded by reptilian beings. I mean, you can sense it, but if you say anything public about it, then you get energy attacks and all that, and nobody believes you, and nobody's believing you about. It gets very lonely. It's like yeah, the being that person's channeling is actually a bad being, but nobody believes it. So I've had that happen. So yeah, it's weird. Yeah, because a lot of these beings, or anybody, can say that they're positive. I mean, a dark being can easily say they're good. That happens all the time, especially in the spiritual community. You see that a lot, actually. Especially a being that committed suicide and comes back as some kind of angel, and okay, and ends up manipulating people. So yeah, it gets kind of weird out there. So well, the idea is for us to upgrade, and obviously matters not quite there yet, obviously. Yeah, that's without going into all the details on everything. I've been through enough as it is tonight. Don't need to go through any more. Those are untitled.com. We have private sessions. We have the scheduler. We have the shop here. Webinar is next week. It was just yesterday. Social network behind the scenes. Jeez. Yeah, I've been through enough, that's for sure. So the empty vessel. So this guy is a Heaven's Gate energy, and he's still roaming around. So, so you can fractal, you can possess other channelers or other beings for that matter, even because the Heaven's Gate cult, that's what the people that committed suicide a long time ago. His energy is still around. I can't prove it physically, but this guy is not gone. I mean, I know a channeler that has this fractal energy. That's not good. Not that they're going to do the same thing as that. Of course, you never know. Because he does have followers that are kind of lost, just like this guy. So you never know. Everybody's an expert, right? In spirituality, everybody is an expert, even if they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, even if you're being manipulated, they're still an expert. It's like that's what they call it, learning, right? Yeah, gotta love it. All right, yeah, it looks like YouTube's algorithm is screwed up, but that's all right. So I'm on Rumble. Rumble's running. I'm on all these things. So on Twitter, I haven't checked Twitter. I think Twitter might be doing better than usual. So yeah, connected to the time traveling energies. Yeah, let's see what comes out of that. We'll just keep that for the being to come through. The empty vessel thing. It's not for everybody to understand that, but for those of you that are understanding it, yeah, it gets wild out there. Sometimes it's better just to focus on the physical reality. When you connect to the non-physical reality, it's like, oh, jeez. It's like you sense these things, but you're not really sure. But what if you are right? Yeah, it gets messed up. And then, of course, there's psyops going on. Oh, yeah, that was the other thing about our world, why it's the way it is. One reason, there's multiple. This doesn't go for everybody though. But part of why the world is the way it is because there's different groups, and these are humans. They aren't aliens. You can blame the aliens all day long. It's not them. It's us as a human race. Are maybe not everybody, but quite a few. Their belief systems. They want things to go a certain way. So you have these different groups wanting things to happen the way they want it to. So we're not all like coming together, obviously. I mean, this is probably just knowledge that's known, but it's just that when you have everyone going in different directions, when society is not really coming together and just chilling out, which is already known, but when you look at but still it's just fighting itself. It's going all these different directions. So when you have a society that's going all these different directions because of its belief system, how can it ever go into the higher dimensions? How can it ever go into 5D? How? It's not. I mean, you can still have your different belief systems, but to respect others' belief systems, it's just basically just there's not much respect you can say. I mean, that's another way of saying it. It's just when you have a total war going in different directions, society would chill out with that ain't happening. So that's what's going on in Ohio, which is just showing how dark darkness is here. Jeez. Yeah, they should evacuate that area, but that's not going to happen apparently. So all right, so we'll go into the time traveling energies. Yeah, even that's kind of like it's not all roses in the future. Let's put it that way. Check everything here. Okay. The NPC energy and CERN frequency are blessings. brings we got consciousness of 2050. We are nowhere near as advanced as people might want to think. You can see our time period is almost like a few years more advanced than yours, but not by much, because your time period keeps going backwards, as some of you might see. With society, the society is, yes, not entirely ripping itself apart, but there's a good portion of that going on. At least the media, you're seeing the weaponized. So in the future, you can say the media is more understood. It's still doing its old tricks. But see, the thing is, the media is going more into, in the future, more into your regular people. I mean, as you see now, you already see regular people doing the news, and that will get bigger in the future. And that's a lot of times worse. At least you have a corporate media, but now you have average people giving you disinformation. So you're not quite out of the woods yet. Now, can you avoid it? A lot of people are not going to avoid it. Some people, majority is not that powerful, not that strong to avoid it, and believes what it wants to believe. Especially when you have an average Joe giving you some kind of future, because you already have that to a certain level now. It's going to increase in the future and make things more confusing. As for on a spiritual level, many will advance more spiritually, but maybe not as fast as you'd like it to. Because some are still healing their bias of themselves. They're not quite understanding them. They're not letting go of their belief systems or their dark side of themselves. They're not recognizing. They feel like they don't have one. They don't have a dark aspect of themselves, so that blocks them. But they feel like just positivity is the answer to everything, which it is not. But your world hasn't figured that one out yet. But your recent future, there's still a lot to learn, of course. Now, as those of you advancing spiritually will continue to do so. And some of you will possibly decide, like you'll leave your fractal energies here, meaning to, yes, connect to those in a basic way, but like be a spiritual teacher in a fractal way. Basically, your energy is connecting to those that are being born here. So you don't have to come back here again. Basically, your energy is agreed upon to connect with others that are coming in. So before you leave, because you want to leave something, you want to have your knowledge here. You want those that are opening spiritually at a young age, and they agreed for you to connect with them. And so you don't have to reincarnate here again, at least soon. Some of you will, of course, because this world's still stuck in the mud, as you can see. Well, on a spiritual level, some of you come up just to clear out the spiritual groups, because as you can see, it's becoming more lost than it's ever been before. Let's see, the rise of the magicians are getting stronger. And eventually, not in 2050, but in 100 years or so, more of the magicians will become more powerful here and become more seen. Now, you kind of see it now, but they're more hidden for obvious reasons, because it's kind of frightening for society. But, I mean, not your street magicians, but your actual wizards. Now, some of you might be able to find them. They're pretty, once again, very hidden currently. Now, some of you might see one every now and then if you want to put yourself into that energy field. Because the one thing about an advanced wizard, not all the times, but if you find them, they find you. Like they know that you're connecting to them. It doesn't mean that they know who you are personally, but then again, you never know. Some are that advanced. Well, they know somebody's watching them. Let's put it that way. So sometimes the less you know, the better. So think of, like, it doesn't mean you're gonna have like literal wizards walking around with hats and all that. It's just the knowledge of them will become more known. Right now, it's just a myth. It's just not part of your zeitgeist. Others are being pulled into agendas that they don't understand. Yes, the secret space program agendas, which disconnects you from yourself. and some need to figure that out. Well, sometimes you need to go out somewhere else before you find you. Sometimes space is more interested than you are. Whereas for some that might feel that way, there's an adventure out there. They're not quite ready to connect more to their human self, the slow reality that you're living in. Because some feel like it's too boring to connect to themselves here. Yes, there is an expert on all levels to some level. Well, it's learning. Spiritual learning. Everyone has their own points of view, of course. But someone to learn the hard way. And you can see it. Yeah, those that want to learn the hard way, that's a tough one, but you're not there to stop them. Me on a spiritual path, meaning if they can't take one bad decision after the other spiritually, like connecting to the wrong people, it's like connecting to drug dealers, basically. It's similar to that. And there's only so much they can, because they can pull you down into their level. And they don't always realize they're doing that. So, blessings. Greetings. This is consciousness from your Earth's, your planet's higher self, your Gaia's higher self. The NPCs that incarnate here, well, some of them, yeah, it's an easy incarnation. You call it the Matrix people. I mean, they only have a small fractal in themselves, but just enough to be human. Now, some of them just love the human experience, love these things, physicality, and they just can't let it go. It's like they're addicted to it. But they're not really acknowledging anything else. But they're also easy to manipulate, yes. So, and which is where, yes, you have your cults and all. So, yes, your NPCs, a lot of them are designed on other realities. Of course, your human physical realms are understanding, but on a higher level, you wonder what some of your aliens are doing, what they're doing in astral. Well, they're taking fractals of other beings that don't necessarily want to be. Your own energy can be taken from you and manufactured as an NPC. You can bring that energy back and clear that. But some people have no idea, or beings, spirit beings, have no idea that that's happening. So yes, like soul manufacturing, you can say something like that. And it's not, they're brought to your world basically to do what the masters are telling them what to do. To be, yes, a slave race. Some of you can visualize this, you can see it. It's quite complicated, we can say, but it created much of your society today. It happened much with the Greeks, the ancient Greeks in the past. Their society, they were actually very spiritual in the past. But then they got hijacked. Then they became more brutal, negative towards each other. And I mean, they really loved, in the beginning, the physicality. It was a love of beauty. It really had a lot of positivity in the past. It's like a really crowning achievement of the body to celebrate, to keep it healed, to keep it healthy. And now you're in a reality where it's all toxins. Well, not completely, but there's a lot of it. Well, because you are advancing yourselves, you're also bringing in more of what caused all this, because your reality is, you're evolving to more and more of the past to be healed, but it's not going to be the easiest past. It's basically like healing your Atlantean timelines, because a lot of your Atlantean timelines also created a lot of this empty vessel energy. At least the negative side, because they knew it would be easy to control. Of course, then they lost control of it. Those that invented it lost it, and it was used against them, and Atlantis was destroyed, and so on. So even spiritual beings can be, yes, empty vessels themselves, which some of you have run into. Yeah, some are, yes, that's, yeah. Well, one example, some that are addicted to positivity, because it's like they're a record player. Like that's all they know is positivity. That's it. They're those of you that are exploring all aspects of it, neutral, just kind of just want to know it all, just for knowledge purpose. That's growth. But others that just want to stay in positive frequency. Now, some are just scared. That's one thing. That's different. To explore anything other than, but some are just addicted to the positivity, and that's all they know. That is an NPC frequency. It can be. Also, if you're addicted all to the negative energy, some of those are just created just to cause just chaos. The lower realms create these chaos beings so easily. With the thought, because they know they'll cause difficulties here. They know the vulnerabilities of humanity. See, that's the thing. You're here. You're not always aware of your vulnerabilities. There's other, obviously the more higher dimensional beings would not exploit that, but there are lower dimensional beings that would. And that's what you're here to figure out. How not to be exploited, you can say. Yeah, healing your vulnerabilities. Greetings. We are the consciousness of the multiverse. Some of you have been part of realities where you actually talk to yourself from different realms. Some of you are doing that now. So you literally feel like you're having a conversation with yourself on a different level. Like, is it a higher version of you, or is it a version of you that's not going through all these difficulties? When it has, yes, a cleaner health, a better health. But sometimes you come into a reality like this to really feel what humanity is going through. Yes, some experience cancer. Cancer just has a lot of it's in the mind, which also can sicken the body, of course. But that's also the Earth's energy. The Earth has a bit of a cancer itself that has to deal with. But that's why you have the volcanoes to release that frequency. Well, basically, as you start to unlock your planet, your Agarthian realms will become more known. Basically, your fairies, your elf realities. That's, you wonder what you're here to achieve. You're basically here to, when you start seeing more elf people here in the physical, meaning like people, yes, not necessarily pointing ears just yet. We just feel like more people are more nature connected. Yes, more hippies, you can say. They might not be like wearing it on themselves as elf people. They're just being themselves. We're just noticing more and more of nature connected people. So that shows you that our Garthian realms are slowly opening up. Now you have your alien people that are awakened, and that's going to vastly expand in the next few hundred years, definitely. As for CERN technology, I mean, you can say CERN is a part of disclosure. It's not exactly the best energy, no. But it shows you alien technology does exist and how it can be weaponized. But don't worry about it. It's basically, it's kind of like a monument to know that you're not crazy. Well, you can show it to others that you want to, that are criticizing your beliefs. You can show them CERN. So we'll try to explain that one. That one's physical here. The aliens will just come up with all kinds. Of course, even with CERN, they'll just walk around that. But for some, they'll look at CERN as like, yeah, that doesn't look very, especially when you see all the rituals and all that's happening around that, and you can show them that also. Yeah, it's basically elites trying to really push your reality into the realm that they basically where they're kings here. Basically, your elites want to literally walk around with crowns on their heads and just look down on society. So they have someone else do it. Well, basically, they want the society to bow down to them, which isn't happening and probably never will. They have to learn their own lessons themselves. And they don't like that. They just want to control a planet and be loved by everybody. At least a forced love. But they have to go through their own difficulties as you. It's just theirs is different than the majority of it. But still, it can actually be even more vicious. Yeah, it's like your soap operas, but yeah, just more like a Shakespearean play, meaning that yeah, it's with no, swords and things like that, with people actually dying. At least you got the idea. Not going into all details of that. That's more of your weight here in the physical. Some of them, at least. Some of our cartel mentality. Let's put it that way. But the multiverse frequencies, that will those doors will open up slowly for some of you. Some of you will just tap right into it, and now you feel like you're somewhere else. You'll be here, but you're also in other realities. For majority, you'll just continue to see changes within your Mandela effects. That's going to be a constant. That's been going on for some time, actually. It just you can't always look at your ancient world. It's like, hey, look, that tree looks different today. But at least you have billboards and digital technology, and but you're remembering how it used to be. Some of your commercials have been altered. I mean, your old commercials. Some of their old commercials are part, meaning like there's two different versions. There's the Mandela effective version, and there's the original version. Some of your old commercials, some of you might find that it hasn't all been erased. When you have that Mandela effect, it's not they can't erase everything. But they figure most people aren't going to notice it, and most don't. But some of you might stumble if it's even necessary for your incarnation. So, blessings.